in Parshas Korach, we're introduced to the rebellion of Korach and hundreds of other people, many being Leviim, against Moshe. They challenged him, Moshe, you're the king, and you gave your brother the priesthood, the kahuna. It was an inside job. Why didn't we benefit to get to be able to be the Kohen Gadol? According to some Mefarshim, they even suggested that every month there should be a rotation. There are 12 Shvatim. Every month, a different Shevet should be able to be the Kohen Gadol. Moshe, why did you pick your brother, Aaron? And Moshe responds, in Perek Tezayin, Pasuk Zayin, he says, Rav lachem b'nei Levi. B'nei Levi, you have enough. You have a lot. Rav lachem, you have a lot. Stop complaining. And Chazal tell us that those words, Rav lachem, are almost mirrored exactly later on in Sefer Devarim, in Perek Gimel, Pasuk Chavav, the beginning of Parshas Veschanan. Moshe Rabbeinu was pleading to Hashem, let me into Eretz Yisrael. I've been with the Jewish people, took them out of Mitzrayim, through the Midbar, then through all the difficulties. Let me into Eretz Yisrael. And Hashem says, Ravlach, you have enough. You're not going in. And it almost sounds a little bit like there's a punishment, or it's related on some level. Moshe, you said Rav Lachem. Hashem will say to you, Rav Lach. But what's the comparison? Korach and his people were sinning. They were challenging Moshe and his leadership. Moshe said, stop it. Moshe, on the other hand, was pleading for greatness. I want to go into Eretz Yisrael. I want to go into the promised land. And Hashem says, Rav Lach. They seem to be complete opposites. And Schwab explains in his Sefer, Mayim Beis HaShoeva, as follows. A beautiful, beautiful idea that connects the two. What was behind Korach and his people and their motive? What? Did they really think that they were going to get the kahuna? Why did they want this so badly? And he explains because there's a fundamental difference between the Leviim and the Kohanim. The Kohanim, they get to wear fancy, beautiful clothing. They get the first of all areas of Kedusha. They get the first of the Karbanos. They get to get Truma. They get to go ahead and get the first Aliyah. They get to go into areas of the Beis HaMikdash that no one can enter. It's pretty exciting, pretty glamorous. The Levim, what do they have to do? They have to schlep the Mishkan through the Midbar, and then after they finish schlepping it, they have to go ahead and assemble it. And then once they go ahead and assemble it, that Kohen that's dressed in that beautiful clothing comes and says, sorry, Levi, you're not allowed to enter into this area. The Machane Shechina, that's only for the Kohanim. You can't even walk in. So the Leviim are basically in the construction business. They have to work like animals. They have to schlep. They have to Shvitz. And then at the end, the Kohanim, they get all the glory. They get to wear the clothing, they get the benefits, and they get to go ahead and be in the very special, unique places in the Mishkan. So the Leviim were coming as follows, with Korach to Moshe and say, hey, we don't want to have to just do all the hard work. We want to be the Kohanim. We want to have the glamour. We want to have the glory. We want to be honored. We want to get the pat on our back. We got to get the public recognition. That's what we want. And Moshe went ahead and said to them, Rav lachem b'nei Levi, you have a lot. Because when you invest, when you put time into something, when you work hard, even if at the end of the day, people don't notice, even if at the end of the day there's no glamour, no glory, but you get that reward, you get the schar. If you just did it for the right purposes, that's the beauty. And the same Rav Schwab explains was Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe says, I took them out of Mitzrayim. I dealt with all the complaints. I dragged them through the Midbar. I worked and I worked and I worked. And now I just want to experience Eretz Yisrael. I just want to go in there. I just want to feel it. I just want to have the glamour. And Hashem says, Ravlach, it's enough. Just like you said, Ravlach and B'nai Levi, so too Ravlach. You got all the schar, all that hard work, all that investment, all the time that you put in, all the complaints that you had to shoulder. Ravlach, that's enough. You don't need to go into Eretz Yisrael and then feel that at the end of the day. This is a very important lesson in our everyday life. For many of us, in whichever realm or any stage of life that we are at, often the very important work is difficult. It's hard, and unfortunately at the end, sometimes you get very little, if at all, any recognition. It could be with raising our children. how much time we have to put in, how much patience we have to have, how much speaking to teachers, money, whatever it is, with our spouses, how much time, how much effort we have to work on our own character traits in order to make the other person happy. We might work in our community, put a lot of effort into our shul, into the infrastructure of our shul, and we don't get honored at the end, at the dinner. In our school, working behind the scenes to try to raise money for scholarships, to try to help the children have the best education possible, and at the end, no one will even know sometimes that we did anything. We have to take the message of Moshe to Korach and from Hashem to Moshe. Rav lachem, Rav lach. That's not what it's about. Don't get discouraged. Don't quit because you were involved in a certain chesed event and no one even thanked you at the end of the day. It's all about the effort. We have to make sure we do it lishma for the purpose of our community, for our children, for our spouses, and that is the key. And with that, we'll have the benefit of the reward in the world to come.